Programs are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick free mode.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day of not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now the group that can't count its nuts and come up with the same number twice.
Welcome to BGFG, episode 400. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my brother from another mother, Mr. Free Mosey. How are you doing this week, sir?
Hold on, I'm trying to count my nuts.
Oh, stop. Dude, you've already gone beyond 2, and that's a problem. That's a serious issue. Just saying. I'm just saying.
No, it's a bowl of pistachios. What did you think I was doing?
Nothing.
Oh, come on. That's just wrong.
I'm not sure all the time.
You know what I am sure of?
What's that?
400.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the TV show.
Yeah, man, we made it to episode 400. That's pretty impressive completely.
I mean,
some say we couldn't have done
personal lives, factor in technical difficulties and more technical difficulties.
Constantly factoring in technical difficulties.
Some outside of our control.
Yeah, but
acts of God, if you will.
Right. But we've still made it, which is the important thing, which I think is really valuable. So how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been good. Been a good week. Minus one thing, which we will get into a little bit later.
I was sick at the beginning of the week.
No, actually, let's do it now.
Okay. All right.
It'll be a little segue into our first segment.
Okay.
A little pre-show rant.
All right.
About the fact that I'm now adding to the list EA.
Oh gosh. Really? What?
Don't ask me to play any EA games on Xbox.
Oh, what did they
actually?
do?
Period. Not even on Xbox. PlayStation. Not that I'm going to get one, but yeah.
You'll
know it's the day that I'm dying when I hit you up and I say I just unboxed a PlayStation and I'm going to load some EA games and then we're going to play Halo.
On a PlayStation, no less.
You'll know I'm done.
Oh, she'll be on the,
all right. So
she'll be on the picture where EA hurt you. Don't look down.
Yeah. So I tried to load that game that we said we were going to play today.
Yeah.
Got it loaded. Went to log in for online play.
Yeah.
And EA account. Can't log in. Scan the QR code. Try to get in the account. I reset this. I reset that. I get this code. I blah, 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 blah. Finally get to a spot where I see an active Xbox account.
Yeah.
Buck naked.
He hacked your shit.
So I unlink it.
Yeah.
And I go to link my Free Mosey gamer tag. And it says, oh, this tag's already associated with an EA account. Well, I go through the process of every email that I can think of that I've used in the last 20 years. I can't get into the EA account that's associated with my gamer tag. Therefore, I can't play any EA games online on my Xbox. So, you know what? I'll have to give up my love of FIFA, which I never had to begin with. So this doesn't hurt that bad. This does not hurt that bad.
I told you that Buck was nothing but a problem. Nothing but
I know.
trouble, that dude.
He got me. He got me.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But then I go and create a generic email account just, so I can get online and play this game. And they're like, oh, you can't use that gamer tag. It's associated with this account. And I'm like, I know. And it's deactivated. So then I'm like, okay, how do I reactivate this account? Or how do I, blah, blah, blah. And EA's help section is awful.
It's
so
atrocious.
I finally break down. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just call somebody. Wait time, 2 hours and 36 minutes. I'm like, nope.
Last time I dealt with EA was for one of my kids, and they literally wanted me to send their social security card and a picture of their driver's license if they were old enough to play the game. I'm like, are you serious right now? You want me to send you that stuff on the open internet to a company that's gotten breached more times than Sony? Like, that's not going to happen, dude.
So actually, I now that I've verbalized and processed this, I'm not actually upset at all, and I'd like to thank EA for saving me the headache of having to play another one of their stupid games.
Well done. Okay, so before we get into this week's news,
2 hours and 36 minutes.
Before we get into this week's news, we have to throw a not coming down for breakfast out there. This week is a little touching.
And I'm sure if I had stayed on the line, I would have talked with Bob.
Oh, stop. That's going to get us mail. Oh, you dick.
Oh, that's going to give me some hate mail.
So, not coming down for breakfast is somebody that's close to our hearts. It really is. So, our generation, Gen Xers, grew up with Mad Magazine. I mean, it really, I don't care who you are, you've at least held on to one at some point in your life, or at least seen one.
And you've done at least one Mad Libs.
Oh God, there's so many things
that you immediately crumpled and like tore up because you didn't want your friends to see how it turned out.
Yeah.
You're like, what the? Nope.
And one of the other things that you did, like almost immediately, was you did the gatefold. You did the fold for the cover, which was an art that was drawn on the back cover. But when you folded it over in a certain way, it had a whole nother image, which was usually funny and it had to do with the first. It's very well done. And that gentleman, Al Jaffee, did pass away. He was a longtime cartoonist for Mad Magazine. He was creator of the back page fold. Passed away at 102 years old.
Yeah.
I think this really goes to show what Fremo and I have been saying for damn near 2 decades, that laughter is the best medicine. If you can stay happy for the most part, and you can laugh and find humor in things, you will live a long life. A lot of the people that pass away early are people that are unbelievably stressed. Stress does that to you. So if you try to find the humor in most things, you might survive this stupid rat race a little bit longer.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah. So a golden ticket.
If not, you can move to
some.
There's some states that have like assisted suicide that's legal. You can always just move there.
Fremo, stop.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that'll help us. Well, we'll get into that later. We'll get into that later.
Let's get into this week's news.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So first up, and in no relation to assisted death, assisted suicide, we need some term limits in this country for multiple things, but we definitely need some term limits. And I would say the first thing is chief justices.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is
that? Simply because if you have term limits, and this is not, I'm not associating myself in any way with any political ideology or one side or the other, but if you have term limits, and the whole reason that the Supreme Court is for life is so that you don't end up riding the tide wave of some crazy ideology that's running rampant over a particular period of time.
Of that moment. I see what you're saying.
That wrecks a bunch of crap.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And that's the only reason why I think that the chief justices should be appointed for life like they are. Otherwise, you'll end up, if a particular party had control of the presidency and both houses of Congress, and they're able to also do the Supreme Court, you could radically alter the entire country in a very short period of time in a way that is irreparable.
Okay, I follow your logic. I do see that.
Now, with that being said,
Yeah.
I think there does need to be a way to disqualify a justice.
Okay.
In the event of gross misconduct or negligence or whatever.
I like that. I like where you're going with that.
And I don't know. There may be something like that. I don't know. I will
I could assume
put my ignorance out there on that particular topic. There may already be a mechanism in place.
I would hope so.
I'm just not aware of it.
I would hope so, because you can have tyranny on that council if you're not regulated. And the term limits, I think I brought that up because I looked at Clarence Thomas and what's going on with him lately. Not just the shit that his wife did, but Clarence Thomas himself. So the Project on Government Oversight was called in by the DOJ. Actually, they called in the DOJ on this one. And he failed to disclose.
Pogo?
Yeah. He failed to disclose gifts from rich friends, which is a problem. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, too. It's not just like, he received a buffet ticket. He received hundreds of thousands of dollars from a Republican mega donor. And I'm not just saying Republican mega donor because, I'm against Republicans. I'm saying that because this guy is a Republican mega donor. He donates to the Republican Party almost exclusively. His name's Harlan Crow. He's a Texas land developer, and he donates money to good political causes, Freebo.
Bullshit.
Yeah, right. Like the $19,000 Bible he gave to Clarence Thomas. Or maybe the $105,000 to the Justice Thomas.
I wonder if that Bible has all the answers.
Let's go to the right ones.
As opposed to the one I've got. I mean, I think it was like $35. So
yeah. $105,000 went to the Justice Thomas Portrait Fund to make a portrait of him and his wife. Which $105,000, I don't even know what kind of painting you're getting for $105,000. Or the one that really kind of stands out. I mean, a lot of those things you could possibly say, we're building a library. We commissioned a painter, and the painter charged $105,000. I can see that. But how are you going to get out of the $35,000 donation for the judge's mom's house to get renovations? How are you going to justify that?
Again.
Yeah, you got nothing.
In cases of gross misconduct, there needs to be a mechanism for removal.
There is. And it definitely looks like there's an ethics violation going on here. 100%, in my opinion.
Yeah, from what I've read on this, he's going to have some severe monetary penalties. Maybe he'll voluntarily step down. I don't know. Again, I don't know if he can be removed. I would imagine as robust as the Constitution is, as well thought out as it is, that there's got to be something in place for that. But again, I don't know that.
And we've been talking on the show for a long time about following the money. Always follow the money. Follow the money, and you will get your answers every time.
That's right, and you will never find me if you follow the money.
Because we ain't got none. Same thing we say when you have to be careful of what you put on your phone. It's the same kind of thing. You can't always trust things like the Google Play Store. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And we've talked on it, and Freemo and I have discussed it, and we've argued and disagreed and agreed. The bottom line is that the Apple, let's back up. The Google Play Store is an open platform. They don't really vet a lot of things. Yeah. And Kaspersky researchers recently found out that you can get malware onto the Google Play Store for as little as $20,000 free. Just here's $20,000.
Actually, you can get it on there for a lot less than that. $20,000 gives you a much better success rate as far as how many people you're going to hack and how hard it's going to be to find and remove.
Some bullshit, man. So Kaspersky studied 9 dark web markets for the past 4 years. So this is not just a willy-nilly thing. They found plenty of code and services for sale to infect and hijacked Google Play Store users.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is buy a dev account for the store and drop $60 to $200, like Freemo was saying. And then they drop that payload onto the store. Straight up spyware, not even lying. And I can't tell you, I think the record at my job right now is 32 of malware pulled off of a little old lady's Android-based phone. It's like RAM doubler, malware cleaner 1, malware cleaner 2, spy search, spy destroy. It's just so many.
Well, the funny thing is some of these things are so blatantly obvious, like RAM doubler.
Yeah. That's my favorite one, though. I love that one. Like, you're going to double the actual physical thing in your computer. Really? You thought this was a good idea?
What I want to do is come up with a product
Yeah.
to sell into like Pet Boys, O'Reilly's, that kind of thing. To double your V8 or V4, your 4-cylinder to a V8 cylinder doubler. It's the same concept. You're going to take a piece of software and physically double the amount of memory you have.
Yeah. That doesn't work like that at all. Even a little. What? No, you're thinking. No.
I bet it has to do with quantum computing.
Oh, stop. It's
going to quantumly entangle your phone with someone else's phone that's the same and allow you to use their RAM.
Oh,
thus
RAM
doubling
borrowing.
your RAM.
RAM borrowing. So the loader that comes with the app will eventually apply an update to the app that has the bad code. Then they can do whatever. So when you're updating your shit, I mean, it might look like it's scanning for spyware.
Yeah, here's the thing. You load an app, game, whatever, and it works fine. And then after the first update, you start having crappy problems with your phone that are unexplainable. That's what happened. The update brought in the malware.
Correct. And it's getting harder and harder to tell what's good and what isn't. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that have, like, right now the new hotness is VPNs. And it's so blatant for people like me and Freemo and people that are in our industry, because if you're willingly first of all, you don't need a fucking VPN. Let's just get that right. Unless you're doing government work or your business needs it and requires it, you don't need a VPN. Nobody gives a shit what porn you're going to look at. We don't care. And honestly, a lot of people don't care if you're VPNing into like Netflix in Germany or in France or in Japan. Hey, that's your prerogative and that's fine. But they're preying on people that are saying, well, I need a VPN to be safe. And then they download a VPN. That is literally giving the attackers a backdoor automatically.
Yeah. And first of all, if you're doing something that needs encryption, hopefully you're a little more savvy. If you're not doing something that needs to be encrypted from point A to point B, then you don't need a VPN.
No, you don't. You don't.
First of all, VPNs don't make you safer because you can still on the endpoints.
Yep.
Where you're going and what you're doing is being collected.
Yeah.
The only thing the VPN does is secure your information in transit.
Yep.
Period.
And what are you tossing across that pipe? Are you my passwords? Really? Because your passwords, if you have them on a document on your computer, they're already possibly being compromised.
Yeah. If you're worried about passwords, go out and get you a password manager. Like, oh wait, no, never mind. That's not safe either.
Don't do that. No, that's a douchebag. Oh, no, you don't want to do that. But I've been touting for years that Apple was the safest place to go, and it was, because unlike Google Play Store, Apple's App Store vets everything. They double check everything. There's such I think there might be a couple cases, but for the most part,
here's how you manage your passwords.
Oh yeah, on a piece of paper.
Right here. See this, folks? You take this,
rip that off,
and then you stick it under your keyboard.
Because
if they get into your house,
yeah,
you got bigger problems to worry about than your password.
Exactly. They didn't get in there just to get your passwords. Okay, you're not that important. But as I was saying, Apple's always been like kind of the post facto in security, and they've always has a closed off system, and that made for a secure experience.
Okay. Let me interject here. I will not disagree with what you said.
But
In theory,
right,
Apple's not any safer. It
What,
can
the
still
App
be
Store?
hacked. It can still be hacked. It's just way more difficult to get it done. And
Yes.
it's not worth the effort at this point in time.
No. The only way that I know of that it can be done at this point is if your Apple ID has been compromised, then they can actually remotely they can change a lot. They can change passwords, they can change the way the store works, duplicate apps on 2 different devices. But now apparently as of iOS 17, you'll be able to sideload apps. And Freemo's grinning from ear to ear because this is absolutely the worst thing that could happen to my argument ever. So this is bypassing the App Store completely. And it's just a bad idea. While the App
Apple
Store
is literally shooting themselves in the leg right now, and I love it.
Yes. Apple vets that. What?
Did you hear that rumbling?
Did
you hear that rumbling?
What's that rumbling?
That's the sound of Steve Jobs turning over in his grave.
Yes, it is. 100%.
That earthquake that they reported in Silicon Valley is him doing alligator rolls in his grave.
To those that don't understand, what it is sideloading means that they don't have to go through the App Store anymore. You can do it. Instead of going to Google Play Store, you go to somebody's website that has an app there and you can download it onto your phone. The problem is that you don't know what the hell's on it. And Apple has been notorious to push back on that type of sideloading. Now they're going to allow it, all because the EU is demanding sideloading as well as USB-C. USB-C, a good idea. Sideloading, not so much. And the fact that you can sideload apps, my business is going to get booming because I'm going to have more chuckleheads downloading ridiculous music apps, video download apps. Oh my God, betting apps. Like the betting apps are getting worse and worse. I'm sure you've seen that too. People, dude, I just, and they're everywhere and it's awful. Absolutely awful. What are you looking up?
Oh, you're going to like it.
Oh gosh.
You're going to like this. You're going to like this.
I doubt it. What? Will it make me feel better about sideloading apps on an Apple device?
No, but it might explain a few things.
What would it explain? Waiting.
I'm looking up the members of the European Union.
Okay.
To find out why they would be so adamant about pushing sideloading.
Yeah, I don't know. I looked briefly and I didn't find anything about that other than something about freedom. I'm just gonna read through
the list. It's not real long. Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, the Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. And Georgia and Moldova have also submitted application for membership at this time.
So, in theory, everything that Freemo just mentioned, they're either a country that is known to have malicious software coming out of it, or they are a country that is notorious for wanting control and access. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's such a shame you can't see what finger I'm holding up.
When I said it.
Which one, Croatia or
Germany?
Yeah.
Those boys want to know everything about everything.
Yeah. At least China wasn't involved, but that's just bad enough anyway, which we've discussed on it. Look, let's shift gears. On a better note, there is good news for those that are afraid to have been victim of malware before. And that's that the federal authorities actually have some new tools now, which is really nice to hear. These tools will identify criminals through cryptocurrency transactions, which hasn't been done before, and now you can. The greatest example of this right now is James Zong.
It makes me a little sad, though.
Why is that? Why would that make you sad?
The blockchain is no longer secure.
It's technically secure. Look, it's the same concept, and we got to get through this through people's heads. Locks keeps honest people out. That's basically
Yeah, that's my point. The U.S. government can blockchain.
It's not necessarily narking on the blockchain, not necessarily, because all this is that they can identify the transactions and who made the transactions, which they couldn't do before.
Why? Because the blockchain was encrypted.
Right, the blockchain is encrypted, so nobody can take your information, but you still have, who made that transaction. Well, I don't know. That's encrypted as well. Now the name is not encrypted for them anymore. That's as far as I read into it.
Yeah. Okay.
But this guy.
You're right. You're right. They stopped when they figured out how to decrypt the transaction information. They said, "Hey, that's all we need. Don't worry about decrypting the rest of this stuff."
I get it. I get it.
Because they're good guys.
Shut up. They're not tapping anything.
White hats for everyone.
Oh, it's rain of mimosas. Look, this guy found this because he came across a bug. He was trying to pull money from his Silk Road account. That's how long ago this was, 2012.
Yeah.
Pulled it from the Silk Road account, and when he clicked on it accidentally twice, by the way, he was using this to buy cocaine on the Silk Road, to let you know what the Silk Road was all about. He accidentally double-clicked on the withdraw button, and he got double the Bitcoin. Now, remember, this is 2012. He then created a bunch of new accounts, and he just kept going, removing money and doubling it up. This is, and like I said, the Silk Road was closed, and the Fed seized all the servers, which is how they were able to crack this, which they did. But by 2021, the Bitcoin market was on fire. So his original $600,000 in Bitcoin was now worth $3.4 billion. And we told you here on the show before, Freemo will agree with me, there's nothing the government hates more than somebody that has a lot of money. Doesn't matter how you got it. Illegally or legally, they just don't fucking like you. Because you have the power to compete against them, whether it's in court or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So the Feds got a search warrant for this dude's house, and they found digital keys hidden like everywhere. Basement, in a tin in the bathroom. Like, this guy was, I don't know what you would do at that point. Like, if I had $3.4 billion that I obtained illegally, I don't know if I leave the house or invite anybody over or talk about it in any way, shape, or form. I'd probably already change my name. I diversify all the money. I mean, there's so many different things I would do to not get caught instead of just putting it in the bank and buying a Ferrari. So he was arrested for wire fraud. And now the feds can identify the wallets of the transactions of everyone.
Yeah.
And like Freemo said, this puts the blockchain in jeopardy. Make no mistake about it. It does. Because just like when we reported on the show before that the U.S. bought up a bunch of underwater pipelines that the Chinese wouldn't get them and tap into them. Well, we're going to do the same fucking thing. We're going to do the same thing on those pipelines.
Yeah, but we're wearing white hats, so it's good.
Are we though? Because they're a little dusty. They're getting a little marred.
Well, I mean, when I say white hats, I mean, as in black. You didn't know white's the new black?
Oh, I didn't. So they said and one of the things that really tripped me out about this story was they said the
Black
U.S.
Hat Linux.
Black Hat Linux, that was a thing. I don't even know if that's still out. That was a thing, though. Do you remember Black Hat Linux? Yeah, that was pretty badass. Download an operating system that literally click, hack, click, hack, click, hack. Anyway, so the U.S. has seized around $10 billion through prosecution, says the IRS.
It still exists, I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet it does. Here's the problem I have with that $10 billion through the IRS information. Where's that money going? Where's it going? Is it going back to the people that it was stolen from? Because none of these stories, and again, Sheeple.
No, of course it's not.
Sheeple, I want you to hear me here. Listen, all of these stories, every time you hear a story about the federal government or any sort of government seizing money or seizing this and seizing that, you need to look around and find out what exactly they seized and where it's going. Because that's one thing they will really not tell you. So the question is, where's that money going? Is that going into the Black Ops stuff?
I just got really thirsty. Craving a slush puppy.
I just got that. Oh, nothing like a slush fund to make you feel better about yourself. Don't worry. No one cares, though, because we're just going to keep dumbing down America and making sure that nobody knows anything.
Don't look over here. Nothing to see here. Ooh, look at that.
Don't worry about that $10 billion.
No.
Where do you think your next stimulus check is coming from? It won't be from the slush fund. I guarantee you that. It'll just be, how much is that going to take to, just print it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be good. It'll be we have printers, right? They're working. I feel like that's something that Trump asked at some point.
Do we still have a bunch of that paper that you make money out of, right? Yeah. Just print what we need.
Just fire them up.
Don't inflate in what? Inflation? Yeah, I think ibuprofen will help with that.
Ibuprofen. Did you hear about what Northwestern University found? Did you hear about that this week?
Well, one, that would require me to be able to read.
Well, it proves our point that we've been saying for years, and that's the IQ scores are dropping dramatically. From 2006 to 2018, they are dropping like a Led Zeppelin. No pun intended.
And that's
what?
The generation that kind of came after us. That's about when those kids would have been coming out of school.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's easier to do things. And now the biggest problem, I deal with a lot of teachers during the course of a day, and their biggest complaint right now, like a scourge. They don't even want it. Like, it's not bullying anymore. It's literally Chat GPT and AI. They can tell when, like, little Johnny at 14 years old has a book report and comes out with a friggin' 8-page dissertation about George Orwell.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We've done it to ourselves.
Yep.
In multiple ways. Without getting political or religious or anything else, I'll just leave it at this. We literally have done this to ourselves.
Yeah.
I think the best way to describe it, and I'd have to check this, I think his name's Brad Upton, comedian.
Okay.
And he's got a little bit that he talks about millennials and Gen Z and why America is so dumb now. It's because they were coddled.
Oh, yes.
And he goes on this rant about how when we were young, we didn't have to wear seatbelts. We got bows and arrows for toys. There was lead paint in our bedrooms and, all this stuff. And he's like, and if you made it through, it's because you're strong and you're a survivor. All the weak and stupid didn't last.
Yeah, I think George Carlin said it the best when he said the kid that eats the most marbles shouldn't grow up and have other kids.
Right. And this guy definitely based his, it was like original material, but it's definitely based on that whole Carlin skit about stupid people. Yeah.
And it's, again, I think Northeastern or whatever the university was.
We literally have dumbed down our own society.
Right. And I think they kind of released the paper and then had to backpedal during interviews and be like, look, we're not saying people are getting dumber. We're just saying that the scores are different. And when I read into it, I understand what they're saying. There's a different type of intelligence now. I get that. But another researcher...
Yeah, there is a different type of intelligence now. It's called artificial.
Correct.
But unfortunately, as a society, we are dependent upon it now.
Another researcher turned around and said,
hold on.
Listen.
Go ahead.
Another researcher came out and said that it could just mean that people are worse at taking tests. What a fucking cop-out. You can't judge IQ based on people that can't take tests. Okay? 2 of my kids can't take tests well. They're visual learners. We had that when we were growing up. It took us extra time to do things. Am I wrong?
No,
It just some people learn differently. I get that, but when you take
I'm not
tests,
going to say you were a box of rocks, but you know,
I need to make
Jenny,
pictures.
Jenny, I'm not a smart man.
Now, in 1984, there was a study by Dr. James Flynn that determined that the IQ had slightly lowered since the 30s. Again, the Flynn effect also shows that we aren't complete dumbasses, though. It's a fact of fluid and crystallized intelligence that has increased. And I saw that, and I'm like, I had to look into that. What?
And I get what they're saying. They're saying as a whole, basically, logical critical thinking has declined, and that's a lot of what your IQ test is about.
Yeah.
And the reason logical critical thinking has declined is because there is so much information readily available that you don't have to work through some of your problems anymore. You can just go get the solution. But here's the downside to that. What goes hand in hand with that is also, because it can be painful to learn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be hard to discipline yourself to sit down and work your way through something and figure out the answer. I get that.
Yep.
All right. What goes hand in hand with that mentality, though, is now you don't want to deal with anything uncomfortable.
No, I just get upset. I don't care how many apples Sally has. She has too fucking many.
Yeah. Well, that, and I don't want, and you can see this in the later generations. They've been coddled. They, mom and dad did their homework, did their projects. Don't, if you're hovering over your kid to keep them from falling down and scraping their knee because you don't want them to get hurt. And now you have a whole generation of people that can't think and they're scared to try because they don't want to get hurt.
Right. Now I just want to elaborate on Fremo's point. Firstly,
it breeds weakness and entitlement.
I think it's going to get worse than that because fluid intelligence is like knowing that there's a half dozen donuts is missing. Crystallized intelligence is using basic math and algebra to realize that 50% are missing. You see what I mean? Like half or so is a visual thing. But this test, don't forget, was through 2012. AI wasn't even a thing then. This was just the dawning of the internet, people looking up and doing research on the internet, good, bad, or indifferent, false advertising, whatever the hell you want to call it. That's where some of the IQ points, like Fremo was saying, have dropped or declined. The next, tests that they come out with, or the next study, is going to be atrocious. From kids leaving school, not graduating.
I want to see the looks on those guys' faces when the computer spits out the results, and they're like, "We got to check the code on this. There shouldn't be a negative in front of this number. Is negative IQ possible?"
Well, the report did show that we peaked in IQ points in the 90s, and it's been going down since then, which ironically is the dawn of the internet. Or the wider spread of the internet.
I mean, the world is changing. There's no doubt about it. What it's going to look like in another 5, 10, 20, 30, 100 years is impossible to project at this point. I mean, 5 years ago, if you just said I'd have been seeing some of the crap I'm seeing now, I'd have thought you were an idiot. But here it is. It's in our face.
Right. And I still don't have my fucking flying car. I'm kind of pissed off about that.
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up and end this segment saying that we have advanced in spatial reasoning, like Fremo was saying. And I think it's safe to say that we're gaining intelligence in different ways, but we have to be careful. We have to be very, very careful because just not thinking and getting the answers given to you by AI can cause an extreme problem in society as a whole. And I truly feel, and this is me personally, that I just think kids need to read more books because books are a dying breed. Look at all the magazines that I've dumped out now. What?
I'm writing myself a note so I don't forget. But as soon as we cut the feed, I got something I got to run by you.
Oh, okay. Well, that should be exciting. That sounds like it's going to be expensive in jail time.
No.
Oh, not this
No,
time?
it's something that you I know you'll want to talk about, but we try really hard to leave certain things off the air.
Right. So I think reading the book is another one of those fundamental things. One of my two favorite magazines, PC Informer, I think it was, and the Apple equivalent of it have
I
finally.
love reading books. That's why I have audible.com.
And on that note, we will move into our music segment. And I'm really excited about this week. Like really, really excited. So Fremo and I have talked on the show multiple times, and we have some new listeners, I found out, that are huge into music. And we search very hard on the show to come up with either hip hop, which is such a loose term, Motown, or rock or metal. You know, the genres that a lot of our generation, and I get my kids that bitch about it all the time. You should play this one, you should play that one. Well, I don't have the heart to tell you that your music kind of sucks. It's got no passion, it's got no feeling. It's just manufactured. So it's been a long time. Fremo will tell you, I spend hours upon hours during the course of the week listening to random music to try to find one friggin' song. So when you see something like Led Zeppelin come up, it's probably because I just ran out of fucking time. And I just picked a good old classic song to put in there.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to do. This week, I was pleasantly surprised because I've kind of been holding on to this one for about a month since it was announced because I want to save it for episode 400. This is a group that we grew up with called Extreme, and it's from my area, ironically, they are. And
everybody knows that one song they did.
Of course, the acoustic ballad to be heard forever more than words.
which is hilarious because nobody that actually loved that song likes any of their other music because that was so not their typical...
No, I saw an interview with Nuno Betancourt, the guitarist, and he's like, oh, people were so disappointed when they bought the album. Yeah. Because that was the only song on there that was like that.
Yeah.
So Nuno Betancourt...
That's the only song that they've really done, period, that's like that.
Right. Nuno Betancourt's been known to be a very eccentric guitarist and was on and off the radar for years. But make no mistake, there's a video that you can see on YouTube that's himself, several other people, Scott Ian from Anthrax, that are doing the Game of Thrones theme on guitar, which is unbelievably good. And it's like, oh yeah, Nuno can play. That's right, Nuno can play. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Fremo and I are proud to present to you all you young, and I'll say it again after the song, all of you young rock and roll people that think you're a rock star, you are put on fucking notice right now. So go ahead and listen to the song and just listen to the solo alone, because that's making some huge strides on YouTube. But listen to that solo because that is how you play a guitar. So without further ado, we're going to listen to some Extreme. The song's called Rise. We're going to catch you on the other side for some stick style news. But for the love of all that's decent and holy, enjoy the shit out of this song. Here we go.
Look around you. A little town for fun, we would find you. If you stay in the cave, we'll define you. Come along, come and join us. Take a little walk in the middle of the madness. Get your mind
so refreshing. All
Wasn't it
you
though?
bands on Spotify and Pandora and YouTube, and we're rock and roll musicians. Yeah, you're fucking on notice. All right. And Foo Fighters just came out with another album. And unfortunately, Winger did too, but we won't talk about that because that guy's a dick. I met him. Just a dick. But
Winger.
how unbelievable was that solo? And I implore you, click on the link in the show notes and watch the video. Because Nuno's on fire. On absolute fire. It is just great. And I also watched an interview. Sammy Hagar does this like he visits other musicians and stuff, talks to them, interviews them as a fellow musician. And Sammy Hagar is another one of those guys that's just a hidden talent, and he plays to his own beat. But he's a hidden talent, and he went and met with Extreme, and they cut the feed because they didn't want anybody else to hear it, and they played him a section of that song. And when they came back and they turned the camera back on, he was like floored. And I agree with everything he said, like the phrasing and the way it's sung and the guitar work and the way everything's structured. It's just, that is how rock and roll, however you want to call it, classified as rock and roll, metal, whatever, alt rock, whatever. That's the way this should be done. That's it. So it's nice to have something like that back. Oh, I love it. Super happy. All right, let's get into the next model. But first, I am drinking some Modelo today. Of course, the Especial, because I just love that beer really well.
It is a good one.
Oh, it is tasty. Are you enjoying any beverage today?
I am. And it's nice and frosty.
Oh, it's frosty. Look at that. It's a
Yeah,
little sweat on it. No. That actually sounded good enough to be a sound effect.
Save it.
I should.
Same old here.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with Miller Lite. That's a fucking good. That's a great beer for sure money. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so
and I can actually look at the can and
don't
still want to drink it.
I wasn't even going to touch upon that this week at all, because I think that is.
Hey, seriously, listen to me, bud. This light is good.
All I'll say about that, because now you know that listeners are going, oh, wait. I'm not going to say anything about who was on that can. All I'm going to say is that as a company, you should know your audience. Like, seriously, know your audience. Because that is not your audience in any way, in my opinion. Whether you're trying to expand or anything, it's just not. It's just not.
Do you like, I really enjoy like when a good thunderstorm is rolling through, just sitting, the window, just kind of watching things happening.
Okay.
The clouds moving and the rain coming down in sheets almost sideways and the flashes of the lightning. I enjoy a good storm. You know who doesn't?
Who?
Of course, there is a slight difference between a thunderstorm and a shitstorm, but.
All right, let's get into Stick Style, because this week is going to be fun.
Gaming.
All right, so first up in this week's Six Style, we have a lot more because it's mid-month, so a lot of the companies are coming out with the new games, which is always fun. PlayStation Plus Extra for April. We have Bassmaster Fishing, Doom Eternal, actually all the Doom games, I believe. Kenya Bridges to Spirits, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, Paradise Killer, Riders Republic, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Phoenix Adventures, Circling the Drain, Slay the Spire, The Evil Within, Wolfenstein 2, and, of course, Doom, Doom 2, Doom 64, all the friggin' Dooms. Because they're just everywhere now. Put them on your fridge, put them on your watch. Doom will play just about everywhere.
Friggin' great game, man.
I'm not going to deny it's not a great game.
Hey, you know what we could do, and I don't know how long it would take to download it. Did you see there's a new Serious Sam 4? Or not new, but Serious Sam 4 on Xbox Game Pass.
No.
Yes.
Oh, we might have to. We may have to. Oh, Serious Sam's good shit. Moving on to Xbox Game Pass. Again, there's not a lot of quality. It's just a lot of games, and we've said it on the show before. Don't expect a bunch of AAA games, but there is quality games. Give them a try. Fremo and I actually game with a game developer, and he's come out with a couple of games, and they're small, independent, tiny games. They're not AAA games, but show some love. They were fun. They took some time while I was sitting at lunch. So good stuff. So on Xbox Game Pass right now, we have Ghostwire Tokyo. Ubisoft brings their 60 titles, including the upcoming Skull and Bones, which we'll get to in a minute on that one. Inscription card game, PGA Tour, which is from EA. So if you have the EA added onto it, that's a good investment. NHL 23, Ravenlock, Fremo
Dimension. Even say that after what happened with me at EA earlier. But yeah, okay, whatever.
Well, I have my EA Game Pass, and I do say it's helpful. Like Jedi Fallen Order, I got to play. There's a lot going on with EA.
I would not necessarily mind playing some of those games. I just can't.
I think as much as you're not a Star Wars fan, I truly feel that you would enjoy Jedi. Just the gameplay, not necessarily the story. I think you'd enjoy it. So maybe
the Star Wars games I've played in the past I always enjoyed. I hate what they've done to the franchise, but
it's getting slowly better. Mandalorian is on point. Boba Fett's on point. Ahsoka's coming out. That's going to be freaking unreal.
Mandalorian's not on point. The friggin' main producer came out and said they don't even know what to do with the storyline anymore.
Well, because they've see, this is a problem that happens a lot. So the story's written and done. That's their arc. Let me give you the example of this. Babylon 5. Something that's close to my heart. And I think you've said before that you enjoyed that show. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's okay for what it was.
Exactly. Babylon 5 had a 5-season story arc that he wrote. That was it. And they pressured him nonstop to come out with the season 6. Like he told them flat out, I have 5 seasons. Around season 3, well, it was earlier than that, but on season 3, they were like, look, this is popular. We need to come up with something more. And he's like, I have 5 seasons. That's all I wrote for this. So then he came up with the mid-movies. So in between the seasons, he would have these little mini movies, made-for-TV movies. And it did well, but then he kept getting pressure, and he said this in interviews. He said that when I came out with, I think it was Andromeda, I want to say, there was another series that kind of started, and it just fell off because it just didn't make sense. There was a beginning and an end to that story arc. And I think that's what's the problem. Like, they had an idea for Mandalorian.
Yeah. Andromeda started off good, but by season 4, you could tell they had no clue what they were doing.
No.
It was just like, we're scrambling to produce something every week.
So back to this. PGA Game Tour, which is on EA, NHL 23, Ravenlock, Fremo Dementia Simulator. It just keeps restarting. Trine 5, Far World Pioneer, Jedi Survivor is going to come out on the 28th. I can't wait for that. I just finished Jedi Fallen, and I forgot how good it was. Destroy All Humans 2, which is a stick style favorite. Destroy All Humans is with the aliens. It's hilariously funny. Super Bomberman R2, which is something that we might have to check that one out too, Free. Super Bomberman's a classic. Overwatch 2, which I've played a little bit of. Overwatch 2 is nice. The new character sucks. But I'm a firm believer that Overwatch is a solid, well thought out game for multiplayer. And Gundam Evolution. The other thing I want to bring up on the Xbox Game Pass side, even though it's not a Game Pass thing, is there's a new Elite Series 2 controllers. They're now in the design lab, which is really kind of cool. You're going to have beautiful colors and 17 different accent colors, 17 different spots that you can change the color on the controller. If you want the controller itself by itself is $150. Good controller. I got one right there. Good controller, solid controller. It's $200 if you want the case as well and all the little add-ons for it. So $200, I don't think, if you're a hardcore gamer, we've said it before on the show, Whether PlayStation or Xbox, get their Elite Series controllers. They're worth it if you play a lot. If you can't pick a color, then they also have a curated ones from the game developers. So you can actually pick something like, and the colors match the game. So they have like Elden Scrolls, and they really look good. Like really good if you're into those games. I think they're really well done. And then lastly, we have some PC game releases that are coming out. So again, not a lot going on there. War Tales, God of Rock, which is a rhythm game, Dead Island 2, Shadows of Doubt, Honkai, The Star Rail, and Jedi Survivor, of course, on the PC as well. These are all games, and there's a shit ton more too. Like
you know what my favorite
more.
game is
On,
right now?
For what platform?
It could be for any platform, really.
Okay. What?
I mean, Nintendo, Sony,
Okay.
PlayStation, Xbox, PC.
What one?
Unlock your EA account. Great game. This never-ending loop of useless information that you have to try and decode and decipher.
Oh, that is. Oh my God, that'll be on the clip show, people.
might be the best EA game. I won't say ever, but in years.
Unlock your account. That's fucking great. All right, let's get into other gaming news. Some weird stuff. So I haven't played Angry Birds in a hot minute, but a good quality game, fun game, and again, one of those lunch break games. Have you ever played it?
Angry Birds, yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, knowing me and seeing the
what
background.
else are you going to do on your 2-hour bathroom break?
And as you can see from behind me, a huge Star Wars fan. So, of course, I got the Star Wars version of the Angry Birds, and it was well worth it. Sega just purchased the Finnish company Rovio, maker of Angry Birds. Guess how much, free?
It's definitely going to be
don't look
overinflated. Okay.
I swear to God, if you say the same number.
3.7.
No. Oh my God, lowballing. They friggin' paid $775 million. $750 million for that franchise.
Well, that was the 0.7 that I said.
Oh, is that
I was
what
just
it was?
off. I was just off by 3 billion. I said 3.7 billion. I was only off by 3 billion.
Yeah, that's not. That's nothing.
That's like Elon Musk. What's in my glove box money?
Oh, well played. That was well played. Oh, Elon. Oh, we'll talk about him. But that's.
Did you see? Real quick. Did you?
What?
Did you see where? I think it's hilarious how much butt hurt's going on over him behind Twitter. NPR and PBS.
Oh, wait. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Because that is just that whole situation. I'm like, no. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Hold on. Also in stupid money news, Ubisoft is finally on Xbox. Okay, great. As much as Freemo right at this moment is EA hating, which I'm hopefully going to turn him at some point this afternoon. But right now he's hating EA for the right reasons. But you're also going to have the ability to it's like a sub account, and I did pay for the EA Plus, whatever the hell they call it. Because I do like a lot of EA titles. A lot of the Star Wars titles are on EA, so that's why I paid extra for that. So theoretically, my Game Pass is costing me $30 a month, and I'm okay with that. Ubisoft, they're on Xbox, and that's been a long time coming. They announced it more than a year ago. This is going to give you access to several of their games. Now, listen to what I'm saying, and Freemo's going to back me up on this. You got Far Cry series. You have the Assassin's Creed series. You have Immortals Phoenix Rising, which we've reviewed on the show before. Good game. Good, fun game. For Honor, which was a game that's good, but it never caught on.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason. And I think it's the control scheme, but that was standing in Rainbow
Six.
You
got, the Rainbow Six, the Division, Rainbow Siege, all of those.
Yeah. That's pretty much
I
fucking
popped-
it,
I
people.
I popped Rainbow Six Vegas 2 in the other day.
How was it? good?
I mean, it was fun, but
Yeah.
I can remember when it first came out, and we're sitting there thinking, man, this is so and I'm just like, man, this looks like freaking 8-bit compared to today.
Yeah. But those 6 titles that we mentioned, that's
Best ringtone ever.
hell yeah.
I could never change it.
Really?
I may have told you this before. I'll never be able to change my ringtone, at least
Really?
not for a while. Yeah, because the grandson, every time he hears, doesn't matter what he's doing, he stops and dances.
Oh. So the 6 titles
It's
that I mentioned.
hilarious.
The 6 titles, yeah, you don't want to change
He's
that
like,
shit. The 6 titles that I mentioned are literally all that they have to offer at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Ubisoft is not the game company that you think it is. And the service is $18 additional a month. Month.
I mean,
What?
No, they do not have a.
What?
They do not have a wide breadth of games, but the games that they do have are deep.
You know what? Okay.
The ones worth playing.
Yeah, I'm going to give you that one.
Like the Assassin's Creeds. Yeah. I mean, that's just everyone they've come out with.
Banger.
Some better than others, but none of them not worth playing.
Right.
Far Cry. So it's like they found something and they just do it really well. Now, how long can those keep playing out? I don't know. But
right.
No, I don't think it's worth $18 a month just to be able to play those games whenever you want. Because they do come up on rotation in Xbox Game Pass. Yeah, maybe they won't. Now maybe they won't.
I don't think they're not going to. I can almost guarantee you they're not going to. No way. Why would they do that? That would be a loss of money. And
for Ubisoft,
if you're into those games for $18 a month, and again, this is where it throws me for a curve. For $18 a month, you can play on any platform because you're essentially paying Ubisoft. And I get it, you can play on any platform. I have multiple platforms. You more or less have multiple platforms. But not many people else have those multiple platforms. So outside of PC and console, whatever console you have, that's all you're going to get the benefit for. And I don't see their depth that EA has. EA has a lot to offer for $15 a month. A lot.
If you can get
in. That is true. But if you want to stick to your PC instead of consoles, there's also good news. So the RTX 4070 was dropped. And I have a lot to say about this because the 4070 is a good card. And here's my take on this, being both in the industry where I'm fixing this stuff and testing this stuff and seeing this stuff all the time, and plus the multiple stuff that I have here in the studio. So the original rig had a 6800 Red Devil card. Phenomenal card. Not a 6900. Phenomenal card. Solid. Upstairs in the stick style computer is a 2080 Ti. Solid card still to this day. Could pull serious numbers. So on the benchmarks that we use at stick style, the 2080 Ti usually pulls about a 190 to 210, depending on, I don't know, the mood of the computer. My 6800 pulls about the same. So that's not too bad. I mean, seriously, people, a console's 60 frames. We talked about it on the show before. Anything above 60 frames, you're doing good. Your goal on a computer should be above 100 on most times. Now, Cyberpunk is excluded, and so is Crysis. Those games want to kill your computer.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get a lot.
I still am collecting parts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told you this.
I don't think you have. Tell me, please.
I'm just randomly collecting parts to build a rig out of instead of paying the money to actually build a rig that'll run Crysis.
Really?
Yeah, I'm randomly collecting parts that I'm going to try and cobble together and tweak and run Crysis on.
So what have you got so far?
Not much.
Well, maybe I can donate some parts.
I've got a call it a bare bones rig that I'm definitely gonna have to upgrade some components on, but it's about, I want to say 6 years old. But the backbone in it was a pretty robust workstation, 64 gigs of RAM out of the box, with some Xeon processors. But I'm gonna have to put. I got to get a graphics card. I'm gonna have to overclock the crap out of it, which means I'm gonna have to put some more
Why are you gonna
fans in
overclock?
it. Crisis.
Okay, fair. Fair. So
my goal is not just to build something that'll run it. I want to build something that will run it maxed out.
Okay. So
like with
maybe
crisis settings maxed out. And I want this thing to put out less heat than my Xbox.
Oh God. Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to seeing how you're gonna do this without nitrogen cooled. But so the 4070 is out.
I did buy a small deep freeze.
Really?
That I'm gonna run it in.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Are you? That's gonna be
got
badass.
an exhaust. Got an
See,
exhaust.
this is why it's going to be a problem for our wives when we live literally next to each other. It's going to be a fucking problem.
It won't. I'll tell you why. It won't. Because when they need us,
we're in the shed in the back.
They'll call us, and we'll come back and do whatever it is they need. But they won't have to worry about being annoyed by us all the time because we'll be in the other building. That has the cots that we sleep in because
we're programming. We're programming. It
got late and we didn't want to walk back over the hill to the house and
Yep, exactly right. Are they back there? I think so. So the 4070 came out. They're comparing it to the 3080, which is surprising. So it got beat by an average of 25 frames.
I gotta go handle this. I'll be right back.
All right. So what I'm going to say is that they compared this to the 3080, and it got beat by an average of 25 frames a second. That's a lot on your last series card. Usually you expect a little bit of gains, but 25 frames on an average, that's a lot. People are complaining about the 4070 being only 12 megabytes of RAM, but seriously, I mean, you're getting 25 frames more. And you can expect to pay around $600 to $700. Now, I was hoping Freemo was here when I was going to say this. Again, I have the old rig for down on the floor from the studio here before, and it was problematic. I built it. Doesn't say a lot about my building quality. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the parts that I have, when you build a custom computer, you do some babysitting, especially when you're really a geek. You're constantly checking BIOS updates and updates and updates and updates. And you're constantly doing upgrades and upgrades and upgrades and getting better. And, okay, what's this tweaking out? And why is this doing this? And there's all sorts of things. I just get tired of it. So what I did was, the 4070 is $600 to $700. That's not a bad price point. What I did was, again, for the sake of what we do here and what we bring to everybody, I bought an Alienware computer, the R15. Now, the 2080 Ti that I talk about all the time, the 2080 Ti is up in the other room exclusively for stick style stuff that I do randomly. It's in the den and family can hear me and stuff. And the 2080 Ti is an R8 Alienware, not the greatest airflow. But then when they switched to the new body style airflow on the Alienware, the R9 through 13, I want to say, maybe 14. The airflow was absolutely atrocious. I mean, I get more of those computers in that are broken and burnt out, and they just suck. The R15 is a much better model. That's the model that I bought. It's got a proper airflow. It's got multiple inputs, air inputs. It's got an exhaust fan that actually works. Oh, that's delightful.
Did you make sure you have at least one fan that's venting out?
Yes. So the point that I was making is that the R8 with the 2080
I only
Ti,
say that because you've seen it.
yes,
These
firsthand. Yeah.
geeks build their own rig and they bring it in and it's like overheating. I don't know. I've got this. I've got that. Da, 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 da.
You have all fans pointing in, you douche canoe. So what I was saying, Free, was
Congratulations. You made your own easy bake oven.
that the 4070 is $600 to $700. Good graphics card, especially when it's compared to a 3080. So what I think happened was that the 6000 series from AMD was doing far better than the 3000 series from NVIDIA. I don't care what people say. It's just it was a workhorse. The 6800 that I have in there, I will probably pull out when I sell that computer because it's a workhorse. It's good for everything, not just games.
That's what happens though, right? NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Time frame wise, go back however many years, NVIDIA was the only card you bought. Anything else just wasn't going to cut it.
Correct, because AMD sucked at the time. It did.
Right. Well, what happens? NVIDIA gets complacent. AMD's still hungry. Boom. Now you have the flip side. You've got generations where the AMD cards are better. They're just better. Not that the NVIDIA ones are bad, but they're not as good. And you're starting to see NVIDIA waking up and going, okay. Yeah, let's not lose any more market share to these guys. Let's get back on point.
Exactly. So the 40 series, the 4000
and what's
series.
Crazy about AMD is they're not only competing against NVIDIA, they're competing against Intel in the processor market.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing.
GPU. In the GPU too. Now.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying. So it's not like NVIDIA is graphics. That's what they do.
Yep.
That's always been their thing.
Right.
Intel processors, of course, they're both dabbling in other things now. But AMD came in and said, "You know what? We're going to beat both you guys," and they have in certain iterations, certain generations. They have, and it's great because it keeps pushing things forward.
And I can tell you from experience that the rig, which I'll get into in a second, the Alienware that I have, compared to the old rig for the studio. Compared to the old rig that I have in the studio, that's an AMD setup, AMD processor, AMD. It produces stuff in a production level just phenomenally, just great. I can't say, but the only thing that produces better, in my opinion, right now is the Mac M series processors because they're just designed for that, where AMD designs it for doing everything. The Alienware that I have here is an i9 with a 4090. There is nothing I've thrown at this thing, Fremo. Now, it's not cheap, but again, future-proofing, like we've talked about on the show before. This is not a computer I'm going to replace in 2 years. Not at all.
Right.
But every single thing I've thrown at this, every single thing has been just unrealistically good. I have yet to hear the fans kick in on this computer at all. At all. I am running multiple shit right now, video-wise, from streaming to recording at the same time to game bar recording to the video that we're showing you here on Discord on our server, and it's not even struggling. I am literally at 2% CPU, 16% GPU, and my RAM is at 43%. I have 32 gigs of RAM because I'm not an idiot. I know I'm going to have multiple things open. But the fact that I love
why only 32?
That's all I need. Okay?
Okay, if you say so.
I am saying so. So I agree with Fremo when he said that the 30 series came out and they were competing hardcore with AMD. And when AMD made that, I can never remember the name of it, but when they said that they were going to share memory between their CPU and GPU, to me that was end game for NVIDIA. End game. Because you can't compete with that. Whether you put 16 or 24 gigs, I think my Red Devil has 24 gigs of RAM on the video card alone.
Right.
Now you're sharing that with the RAM that you already have, which on that machine is I think also 32 gigs. And the Ryzen 7 that's in it. You're sharing everything. You know what I mean? It's like it's just overpowered now for producing, for streaming. It's just the way to go. If you're running a 2-computer setup, I would implore you, if you really like, if you're a streamer that makes actual fucking money, not like us, and you make actual money at this shit, I would implore you, your streaming rig, get yourself a Ryzen 7, all the new Ryzen shit, and make sure it's all AMD in your computer. And then for your gaming PC, get an Intel with a NVIDIA. You will never look back.
Do you
won't look
think
back.
you have to go all AMD? You can't do like a Threadripper with an NVIDIA card?
No, because as far as I know, the Threadripper is not going to be part of this shared memory thing, this new architecture. And I'm also talking about the newer setup, which is the AM5 socket with the DDR5 RAM. It is stupid fast. It is stupid shared. But when you look at the base,
Well, then I may be in trouble.
Well, when you look at the base stuff compared to benchmarks for games, completely different story. You can obviously tell at that moment. No, listen, because you're going to appreciate this. You're going to tell when you look at benchmarks, you're going to absolutely tell, like I could, which games that the AMD crew tested for this card. You're going to tell exactly what games. All the other games are like, oh, that's not that much better than what I have now. So that's it. But for production and shit, oh my God, it just is next level. Like you'll mux a video or you'll dump a video, converted a video, and it will take a 2-hour video or an hour and a half video will take probably maybe 2 minutes. Maybe. Not long at all. But yet, if you're on what I'm on now, it's an i9 4090. This is not a joke computer. But yet, if like when we finish this show at, 2 hours or whatever it is, it's going to take me probably about 10, 15 minutes to convert it, change it up. That's again, oh, you're complaining about 10, 15 minutes. No, I'm not. I'm complaining about the difference between the two times. It's just efficiency and how it handles itself. But the 4070 is out. The 4070 is very, very good. And I don't know. I just think it's great. So like I was saying before, I just finished Jedi Fallen Order, and something popped into my radar frame. A little something.
Yeah.
Tron Identity. So I went out of my way.
I haven't heard of Tron Identity.
I know you haven't. So I jumped on last night, and I figured I'd come down here because wrestling was bad. I came down here and what?
The most recent Tron reference I can think of that I saw was in Wreck-It Ralph.
Yep, you are correct.
Or Ralph Wrecks the Internet, one of the two.
Now, I am a Tron fan. If you've ever been in the studio before, you'll see that all the monitors show something about Tron. And I love the Tron blue. It's just a thing I like. And I love the orange, too. I think the orange is cool. Anyway, it's always been close to my heart. It was one of the movies before Matrix that made me go, damn.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
I mean, from way back, like in,
Yeah.
What was it, 80? I want to say 84. I don't know why, but it was in the
Sounds right.
obviously in the 80s. But
Yeah. I don't have my Flynn shirt on today. No.
Hold on, I've got all the Tron data tattooed on my chest. Release date. I'm checking you for Tron tattoos when I get up there.
Yes, sir.
Or when you come down here. That was just weird.
So what I was doing was I was checking to see. I usually wear my Tron Arcade, not Tron Arcade, Flynn Arcade shirt. And so Tron holds a close place to my heart. And the Tron Identity game, what I did was I jumped on last night because wrestling was bad. I jumped on and finished up the show notes and got everything kind of ready for us this morning. And Fatal jumped on, and him and I were talking. I think we were just bullshitting, and I was doing the show stuff until like 1 a.m.
Yeah, you were bullshitting it. You were talking with Fatal. And I don't mean that in a mean way. That dude will literally talk about anything all day long.
Yes, he does.
82, not 84, 82.
Really, that early?
Yeah.
I would have added you on 84. I would have backed you up on that one. So we were all talking and stuff, and then I was like, oh, that's great, because now tomorrow morning I have time to play Tron Identity. I put in the fucking show and forgot to play it as a review. So I went in this morning and I played it. Now, it takes about 90 minutes or so to complete the game. Kind of a bummer, kind of okay, because it's on Game Pass. I believe it's on Game Pass. Yeah.
Took you how long?
About 90 minutes or so.
Is it multiplayer?
No. So
Okay.
what it is a choose your own adventure game.
I'm going to see if I can beat your time.
Oh, we want to go there. First run through, it's not going to matter. We should do both. First run through and second run through. So the first run through.
Obviously, I'll run through it.
No.
I'll see what my time is.
No, don't do that.
And
then,
then
we've done this before. Go ahead.
Hold on. And then we will sit down and we will head to head go and see who finishes first.
So here's the thing. We've done this before, so I'm going to opt out of this and say no.
Yeah, because he loses every time.
No, it's not. That's not the reason. That's not the reason.
Notice, folks, he didn't dispute the fact. He's giving another excuse. Okay, go ahead.
It's such a shame you can't see what finger I'm holding up.
So what it is that the initial run through, you have to play in a normal, timely manner. This is the argument we've always had, is that the first run through, it's on normal settings, and you literally read every answer. Play it how you would actually play it if you were just chilling at home, not recording or anything. That's bullshit. I can't remember what game we played, but I'm literally watching you run to every checkpoint. You don't do that normally. We had this conversation. I wanted to say it was Halo 3, maybe, when you were watching me and Fatal going for skull challenges, something like that, and you were like, well, yeah, I would do the same thing. And then it was whatever game around that time frame that was released, you and I and everybody was playing the same other game besides Halo, and you like speed run through it. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh, it was Gears. It was the storyline for Gears.
That, sir, is a lie.
No.
Never. I know the storyline for Gears because I've watched it all. Now, you may have caught me playing it after I'd completed it the first time.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying, is that this time around with this game, Tron, you like, it's a choose your own adventure game. So when you see an option, and it's 3 options, you reread, pick that option, then you think about it, reread. It happens in seconds, but it adds up. Whereas before, like if I went through it right now and restarted the game,
I see where you're going with this. Of course, my time's going to be faster because I know how to read.
Oh, come on. That's not
Bullshit.
It's not true. Not true at all. The thing is,
that was a good one. Come on.
That if we play Tron Identity, I haven't gotten to the fucking review yet, you asshat.
Stop it! You're giving me the giggles.
Fuck you.
I can't listen to any more of this.
Where the fuck is he going? Put your headphone back on, asshole. So, the point that I'm making is that if we played it, I'm 100% willing to do this because you like Tron, and this isn't that bad. It's not that good. Let me get that right out front.
Well, no, obviously it's not going to be that good.
No, it's a lot of loud. Good.
No big studio put any money behind it. So it's going to be what it is.
I grabbed it off Steam. It was $14.99. So take that for what you will. But the thing is that it's Tron based, 100%. It's loosely, I want to say that like it very much plays with the dynamics of the world of Tron, or the I got inside world. It's a choose your own adventure. I think it spends too much time on you're basically reading the whole time, in my opinion. Like, I didn't look at the screen a lot, and there's not a lot to look at anyway. It's a still image most of the time. Occasionally, you'll have choices to move your reticle to, and then pick that thing. But outside of that, it's just not. It's just story based, and you pick different things. The mini the mini games in it are atrociously confusing. Maybe I'm an idiot. Honest to God. Maybe this just, we were talking about IQs earlier. Maybe this is just one of those things that doesn't, things in life, especially as Gen Xers, we can all say there's certain things in life that do not fucking make sense to me at all. Like there's
like
certain,
programming the clock on a VCR.
Yeah, to some Gen Xers, that doesn't make sense that they have to do that and tap this and why is it blinking again? Like they can't get around the idea that it lost power. They just can't. It's broken. Like, there's those people out there, but there's people. This is one of the things that I don't understand. These mini games in there, I literally don't understand. I even restarted the game because it's one of the first mini games you do, which is probably 3 minutes into the game. It's the first thing you do, and it's confusing because it's either you can match the shape or the number. I'm like, okay, I played these card games a bazillion times. But then you end up with like a few, and it doesn't make sense. And then I'm now at a level where I'm like, they're like, you can add this and this now. What? So, what? Like, if you didn't give me little clues as to what to pick or what my possibilities were to pick or choices, I would have already quit the game, 100%, because it makes no sense what you actually need to do. It just doesn't make any sense. Story-wise, mediocre at best. Like, I'm making choices. I just made a choice right before we got on today. I made a choice that I was like, fuck, I didn't think that was going to be the outcome. But that's the best part of choose your own adventure games. Have you ever played any of those choose your own adventures?
Well, yeah, I mean that goes back to some of the original games.
Or maybe read a book. We had a lot of books growing up.
Text-based adventure games.
We had books like that growing up. We had games, but you've played them, right?
I mean, like Oregon Trail, I mean, that's all that was. That's all that was a series of choices, and if you made the right choices,
die of dysentery. That's what the choice fucking was.
Well, yeah, but it was, if you made the right choices, you would die of dysentery farther along the trail.
Oh,
but yeah, ultimately you're dying of dysentery.
You're dying, yeah. It's gonna fucking
There is no Oregon. It's all a lie. It's just a big loop that you're going around, and they're changing the scenery, and you don't realize it.
Oh,
you're dying of dysentery. That tree looks familiar. No, it doesn't. You've died of dysentery.
Oh, I just spilled my beer. You made me laugh so hard.
On the keyboard, even.
Yeah, on the keyboard.
Oh,
I don't care. Fucking keyboard.
This is the first time we've done that in 400 episodes. Not spilling a beer. We've done that plenty.
No, we've done that pretty much. On the keyboard, we haven't. We did destroy people that don't know that. So I spilled one time and destroyed the actually whole mixing board for the show.
Yeah.
Fremo has yet to live me down, and rightfully so. I just want to add, rightfully fucking so.
That's all right. I mean, that was kind of karmic justice for you making me burn my Xbox.
That was. Oh my God, that's a good point. That was for burning your Xbox.
Actually, he didn't make me burn my Xbox.
He lost a bet. That's it. You lost a bet.
It wasn't even a bet.
Anyway, back to Jedi.
No, we have to clarify this. It wasn't a bet.
What do you mean?
There was no bet. There was no, if you win, I do this, or if I win, you do this. It was all, I popped off. I will freely say it. I popped off and made a statement.
And
I
you said
was
you
wrong.
can't beat me on Nürburgring. You said that.
No, that's not what I said. I said you will never win a game of Last Man Standing while I'm in the room.
Okay, fair. So
it wasn't a bet. It wasn't a bet. It was just a statement that I made. I said, you will never win a game of Last Man Standing while I'm in the room. If you do, I will burn my Xbox.
Then how did the agreement come across? Yeah, but how did the agreement come across? Because I remember distinctly saying I would shave my goatee and my head and burn my Xbox. And you had to burn your Xbox and say,
no, there was no that was something else. There was no downside. There was no downside for you not winning Last Man Standing because you never did.
That's not true.
What you won one?
Second, dude, I owned. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. That's all I'm saying.
But I did. I popped off. I made a statement, and when he won,
all right. So
we ended up with the burning video.
Yeah, that should be up on YouTube. If it's not, I will put it up there because it is. I do have it.
It needs to be. It needs to be, man.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
If it's not, put it out there. That's where you're going to make some money.
Well,
you don't think people will watch
that?
I mean, not the full version. Obviously, the shorter, edited down version that you created, but because the full version's long.
But if you want to spend $14 on a choose your own adventure game and you like Tron, try Tron, but it's going to put you to sleep. It's lengthy, it's long, and the mini games are difficult. Back to what Freebo was saying about the burning. We will absolutely, I'm sure I can, oh, wow, this is really wet. I'm sure that we can find the actual video of it, which is great. And that's going to actually bring us into, oh, that's ruined. Still fallout from the fucking leak. Oh, that's going to suck. We're going to work on that.
You didn't take your keyboard and try and turn it over, did you?
I did.
Rookie mistake.
Yep. Ruined it. As soon as I did it, I ruined the board. Anyway, so one of the things that Freebo was saying is that the burning video.
I'm going to take over because your brain is shutting down. No, I can see it. Your brain is shutting down because you're sad about the keyboard. And that's understandable. That's understandable. I get it.
All right. So anyway.
If you look real close, folks, when he sits up, look real close. There's a tear starting right there.
It's a twitch in this one, actually. Anyway, let's just get into the last segment this week because that's gonna. But as we were saying, in the first segment, for what it's worth, did you notice how everybody's quit Twitter lately? Look, everybody's quitting Twitter. We alluded to this earlier in the show. That NPR recently left Twitter because of a backlash over being governmentally funded. Yeah. Which is, so I have a problem with this.
They receive government money for their operation. I'm not saying they're government influenced. I'm not saying that.
Okay, I'm glad you went there. Because PBS just did the same thing. And if PBS was getting the government money that everybody claims they're getting, then I wouldn't have to fucking buy an umbrella for $15 every year. I'm never going to use to keep them open because I believe in public broadcasting. When you look at it, what Freebo and I do on BGFG and on Stick Style is literally public broadcasting. Literally. There's no charge. I can do it freely. Whether I get paid for it or not, we don't, by the way. We don't monetize our videos. So we're not making money on that side. We do other things to do that. but you have to keep public access open, whether it's cable or radio. You have to keep that
You
open.
don't have to.
Why? Are you kidding?
No, you should for the health of the nation, but the government doesn't want public access. They want to feed us what they want us to hear.
Agreed. So now PBS, NPR they're all off Twitter because Elon added.
They're voluntarily off Twitter.
Correct. Good point.
Because someone stated a fact.
Oh, we might disagree on this.
Someone stated a fact. That's all they did.
Twitter. Well, again, hold on. Twitter added a government-funded label onto
government-funded media.
Correct.
Are they or are they not? Do they or do they not receive money from the government?
Technically,
it's a yes or no question.
Oh,
there's no technically.
Come
do
on.
They receive money from the government?
Yes.
Okay. Do they produce media?
Oh, yes. That's
okay.
Fucked up.
That's it. That's all that statement says.
That's not it.
That's all that statement means.
But
you're reading too much into the label. You're reading too much into the label.
Fuck you. I see your point. Yeah.
Just like PBS is reading too much into the label, and NPR, and all the people that are bad about it. It's if I tattooed white guy on my forehead.
Go on.
And someone wanted to get mad about it because the label, it's descriptive and it's accurate.
Sure is.
I could also put underneath that asshole. That is also descriptive and accurate.
There's another highlight.
Why do you want to get butthurt over a label?
I agree. It's an absolute label. I think, but again, if you had to do this, originally.
I'm sorry, PBS. What do you identify as?
Oh,
now?
Don't stop. Hold on with that. That's going to cause us so much problem. Hold on. It used to read state affiliated media, which I can get behind. So like China News.
No. That's worse. State affiliated. Affiliated means that you are in partnership with the government.
Oh. Okay.
That's the label you don't want.
Right.
This one's just basic.
I'm taking that money.
Government funded. Correct. They produce media. Correct. The government. Now, the question is, and this is what PBS and NPR don't want you to know, is how much input the government has on the media they produce. That's why they're having a problem with it.
Oh, so let me ask you.
State affiliated means that the government has input.
Okay, I can see your point. Now, my question is there a dollar amount that my influence is purchased for on these stations? No, that's a yes or no. Is the amount? So is the amount that's donated or I take from the government or state?
There are certain according to federal laws, there are certain things you can and can't produce if you take their money. If you take their money, there's certain restrictions and guidelines on what you can and can't say. You know, now as far as you obviously can't produce propaganda against the government. You can't produce stuff that is blatantly false. Can it be tainted or not tainted? Tainted is not the right word. Can it be influenced on the opinion that you're presenting? Potentially, but within when you take the government money, there are certain things that you can and can't do. You can't promote
Like
a certain
what?
religion. You can't promote a certain religion.
All right. Yes. Yep. I agree.
Okay, and that's what I was saying. There's certain opinions that you can and cannot express if you opt to take the government money, and those things.
But that
are
should be
dictated.
normal for these.
No, I agree with you. That's fine. If you're taking government money, it should be something that can be consumed by anyone.
Right.
It should be informative, which, as far as I know,
Unbiased.
PBS is pretty informative.
Yep.
It should be
Unbiased.
obviously not treasonous.
Okay. We're still skipping unbiased.
Anti-government. No, it should be unbiased, but there's no way to be completely unbiased.
Yes, there is.
I mean, well,
we are completely. An example. We are completely biased on this show. We have been for fucking 20-something years.
Yes, we hate stupid people. We've never made
There's multiple things we hate. We're not. When we do a news story, we essentially inject our emotion. When I watch a news story,
sometimes we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we present the facts.
Agreed.
But we don't quibble about that either. We don't try to present ourselves one way and then say something else. We are exactly what we say we are. If you're taking the government money, there are guidelines, restrictions, whatever you want to call them, that you have to operate within. That does not mean you're government controlled.
Right. Exactly.
So government funded media is exactly what they are.
Right. Now,
that should not be an issue.
But on your take, if you're talking about Chinese news media, that's absolutely biased. That's absolutely pro-government, and that's what they're worried about. And I get that. And if you block that on Twitter,
the reason that PBS and NPR have this, and I'm just going to throw it out there, that they do lean a certain direction.
Think so?
They do. There's no way around it. They do. They're better than news organizations.
Yeah.
Most news organizations either lean way this way or way that way.
I can see.
There is no major media outlet,
correct,
news organization that doesn't lean far left or far right. Correct. They all do.
I see,
one or the
I
other.
see where you're going with this.
Fox, CBS,
Yeah.
Huffington Post, whatever you want to name, Daily Wire, any of those guys, they all lean and they all present everything that they present based on their leaning. PBS, NPR do a much better job of being as neutral as possible. They do lean,
but
there's no way around it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They do
because
lean.
Unfortunately,
there's no way around it. But they are as unbiased as you can be in this imperfect world.
I would agree. I would agree because there's stuff that comes out of NPR, especially, which is a news organization I followed for years.
Yeah.
To get in Fremont, I've talked about this before. Because again, everybody's one way or another, but NPR and PBS are so neutral that sometimes get in the way of themselves. You know what I mean? Like they'll get so fucking neutral on something.
Well, they're almost scared to present something because it might appear one way or the other.
Yeah. Yep.
But I mean, but no, this is not a knock against NPR or PBS, other than the fact that they're just being stupid over this label.
Correct.
The label is exactly
right.
It's factual.
So when
if there was a if the label, for more information, click here, and you click on the label and it says these people are lying to you because they're government funded and they're doing this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. That's a different story.
Right.
It's a label. That's all it is. And it's not inaccurate. Deal with it.
No, it's not. But like we were saying before, though, Chinese news, I can see Elon removing that from Twitter because it's not open media. It's not at all.
Yeah.
It's propaganda. But the BBC, the BBC is obviously government run. It's the British Broadcasting System, or whatever the fuck it is. And there's like 9 channels or however many there are. So the question always becomes, like Fremo said earlier, is that the question becomes, are they actually being influenced, or are they just getting on the latest government amendment to something that said that you're entitled to X amount of dollars a year because you're a state-run TV cable company or the local access channel?
Well, here's
that's what
the
it comes
thing.
down to.
Well, yeah, and they did change it from government funded to publicly funded.
But people don't even realize the federal funding accounts for only around 15% of public television. That's all it is.
I get that. They're not, that's what I'm saying. They're not controlled by the government. And as far as the label goes, publicly funded is a more, I don't know if accurate is the best word, but
No,
it's a
you're
more,
right. You're right. It's not
a
not the most
more,
accurate. No. It's
publicly
more
funded
suggestive. Because
no, I mean, accurate is the only word I can come up with, because the funds do come from the government's money is paid for by taxpayers.
Right,
So
but
I guess
people
it's a more
assumption that they're on the take.
Yeah. The publicly funded takes that stigma of government funded away.
Right.
I mean, they don't mean anything different per
Right.
se. It's the perception of publicly funded is more positive.
Right. PBS gets 31% from their donations, as you can see from all the fucking commercials that are on all the time, and phone-a-thons and shit. NPR says their federal funding is like less than 1%. I mean, it's minuscule. And BBC did an interview with Elon after this whole thing, and suddenly the BBC was listed as publicly funded.
Yeah,
which I think is funny. I wish. Good.
I was just going to say. I mean, as far as this is just an example of everybody is so hypersensitive these days that it's almost like I'd rather fight than find common ground.
Yes. Everybody's quitting everything over protests and shit like that. But you know what? The one thing that's leaving the internet that I wish wasn't, out of all of this bullshit, Internet Archive.
Yeah, and this is a big one. The ramifications of it are way bigger than this article even hints at.
It doesn't. I've donated money, and I plan to donate more. It's definitely, they were founded in 1996. Those that don't know, go to Internet Archive. Just go to it.
Here's my short take on this.
Yep.
All right. Public library, the biggest one being the Library of Congress.
Yep.
If you so inclined, you could go to the Library of Congress and you could look at, you may not be able to take it with you, but you can look at what they have in the Library of Congress.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Library of Congress has everything.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
That's written
and
down.
They're wanting to shut it.
No.
And
that's written down.
Correct. This has media and other things, but that essentially that's all this is. They
have books that haven't, books and movies that aren't even available commercially anymore. Like, for instance, we've talked about on the show, Dogma can't be watched anymore. Blazing Saddles is like nowhere to be found. These are still available on Internet Archive. Donate. Go to the Internet Archive and donate, even if it's like a fin or even $1. I mean, it's going to add up.
Yeah.
And here's an added bonus: donate, and then feel free to go search for 30ish, which was one of our first shows that we ever did, probably 24 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
insanely long ago. All of our original shows are all on Internet Archive, all of them. And just go check them out. Donate if you can. And I implore you to. It's not going to, $1, $5. Come on, what's that out of you? It's a coffee tomorrow. Don't buy a coffee tomorrow. Bring a water from the house. Just because it's going to keep that place open. And it holds a lot of stuff, from Dick Van Dyke shows to classic novels that you can't get commercially anymore, for 100 different reasons in 50 different states are the reasons. Might I say Marjorie Barrett Beaubear. But for many reasons, you can't get this shit anymore. But it's here. It's here for you. TV shows, commercials. There's so many things on Internet Archive.
We had 43 views of episode 75 of 30ish.
Oh, really? Yeah. Episode 75 people. We were at 400 today. Okay. That was episode essentially 35. Fremont and I will not look it up because I told Fremont, I promised him I would never would. But we have a debate whether we continued with the number at 30ish into BGFG or if we reset the number to number 1. So I don't want to look. It's been too long and I don't care. But
Hold
finally,
on.
this.
Hold on.
What?
Hold
No.
on.
What? You give me the highest number that 30ish came out on, and I'll 100% tell you whether we're close to the 50ish opening. Because I know we're on the number that I have records of.
All right, hold on a second.
While he looks that up, finally this week, on May 23rd, HBO will be dropping the HBO from their app. I brought this up because it really kind of bothered me. HBO has been a mainstay for decades. Fremo and I can tell you, Fremo's laughing. If you're watching the video of the show, Fremo's laughing hysterically right now because he's listening to the original 30ish intro. Yeah, it was some good shit in that show. It was some good stuff. The podcast for a 30-something, by a 30-something. So HBO, as of the 23rd of this month, or of next month, HBO is going to drop HBO from their app, or their title, I should say. So they'll be consolidating HBO Max and Discovery Plus into one app, and that's going to be called Max. Just Max. That's all it'll be, which is fine. It should be as seamless for current subscribers. You're just going to turn it on that day, and it should put it out there. I'm curious because I have Discovery Plus, which I think I still pay for, and HBO Max because of John Oliver. I'm really kind of curious, and I haven't even told the wife this, but I know I could cancel one of them knowing that they're both going to appear there soon. But I want to see what HBO is going to do. Are they going to notify me and say, hey, look, you got both of them now. We're going to charge you, this amount of money or whatever. Or are they just not going to say anything like a shitty ass company and just take my money for double dipping without me canceling? I'm looking forward to seeing. Are you giggling for what I said, or are you listening to the other podcast? What? You're turning red. What are you hearing? You got to talk at some point. Okay, now you're really.
We're all vibing on anal lube.
Really?
I remember it now after hearing it, but
yeah.
And I popped off with, who needs that when you got axle grease?
Oh my gosh, I remember that. The axle grease. See, people, this is why Internet Archive is important. These are up there for free. This is literally before podcasts were even really podcasts. They had just opened up. Nobody downloaded them except for a few geeks here and there. We jumped onto that bandwagon. We did the first show, and it was just a bunch of us that played games together. Our original Phoenix Media Group or Stick Style group was this group. And this is probably a portion, maybe a fourth of the actual group. And I figured out how to record everybody. And we started off that way, and we just went from there.
We actually have some views on some of these, man.
Yeah.
Like way more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
For how, one of them's triple digits on some
Really?
of these older episodes. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we had a lot of fun. It was a lot more people. And again, dynamics change, people change, relationships change. There's a bunch of stuff that goes on. People die. And things just progress. Your life moves on. And Fremont and I were the only two left. So, yeah. So May 23rd, HBO is going to change. You shouldn't say anything. I'm looking forward, and I'll report back as to whether they double dip or they actually tell me that I have two different accounts. Do you have anything else this week, Mr. Fremo?
Well, I haven't found the definitive answer, but based on the numbers I'm seeing here, we've got some 30-ish episodes in the 150s.
I'm going to look that shit up right now.
Hold on, 155.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, here we go. This is the closest. There's a 30th episode, 155, which is not the final episode, and then here's a BGFG 162. So yeah,
we went right through. Okay, there you go. That would do it. Definitive answer. We've been doing this show for 400 episodes under two different names. It's like we got married.
Well, let me check real quick on when this BGFG one was.
No,
done.
that's accurate because I would have been using Internet Archive back then.
BGFG 162 was released. Yeah, March of 2012, and the final episode of 30ish was June of 2011. So yeah,
Sounds good. Yeah. Oh, it's a long time.
good
All right.
stuff.
Do you have anything else?
No, I just want real quick. Yeah, if we lose the Internet Archive, man, there's a lot of stuff that just falls by the wayside, and way more important than 30ish and BGFG.
Correct. There's classic cartoons. There's classic music. Stuff, literally people. This is music that was recorded in the 20s, that in film as well, that was recorded and was falling apart, and they did their best to copy it and get the best copy they can, and they just put it on the archive. That film has been destroyed since then. But yeah, it's still
so
there.
if the Internet Archive gets shut down, I mean, we lose all that.
Yeah, and nobody wants that. That's, man. Yeah, I want to donate some money. Some more. Today.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Anything else this week?
No, that's it.
So join us on Stick Style after this. And we'll be playing most likely Wreckfest.
Thanks, EA.
That's it for this week. 10 Sound show's over.
Whoop, whoop.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.